So once you've removed those pedals, depending on your bike box, you may or may not have to remove this seat post. So I'm going to talk about little tricks on how to do that. Removing the seat post is pretty easy. You're just going to have to loosen a screw and take it out. My screw happens to be in the front here under this little rubber thing. You can see that right there. So I just loosen that and then I pull this out. You might have a seat post clamp and you just loosen the screw back there and you can pull your seat post out. Now, one thing to keep in mind, if you have electronic shifting, specifically Di2, which I have, you might have some wires coming out of the seat post going down into the frame. And you will need to disconnect those wires. Now with the Di2 wires, you can just use your fingers and pull them out, but I don't recommend that because if you pull at the wrong place, you could actually almost break that wire and break the connection and then you're out of a bike. It won't shift. So they make this little tool. It's a little plastic tool and I recommend getting one of these. And this is the way you should be taking out those Di2 wires. You remove it with this end, you put it on and you pull it off. And then to reconnect it, you use this end and you push it down into that connection. When you disconnect these wires, they're going to be sticking out of your seat post. You do not want them to fall back in because then you have to fish around and try to get them. That can be difficult. So I recommend getting some tape, and after you take them out, just put that tape around the wires and tape those wires to your frame anywhere. It doesn't matter. Just have them stick out, tape them down, and then they won't slip into your frame. So another tool I highly recommend traveling with is a small torque wrench. The reason is a lot of these screws on the saddle and also on the handlebars, and we'll talk later about those handlebars, you need to torque them to a very specific Newton meter. If you go above that, you could crack the frame. I've actually, because I torqued too much once, I cracked the frame right under my seat post clamp and I actually had to get an entirely new frame because of that. If I had used a torque wrench, I wouldn't have done that.